before you. Now, of course, we have other presentations to come, and since we started, we have been hearing the most experienced people speaking about renovation, passive housing, and the insulation of the buildings. Once again, Robert Schild will be with us. Ben de öğrencilerimize gerçekten yapmış oldukları muhteşem çalışmalardan dolayı tebriklerimi iletmek istiyorum.
In a few weeks at the international contest in Prague, and so I hope you will also be successful there. From my side, all the best wishes. Dear audience, now after the heavy first presentation, it's easy. I invite you to come with me to Vienna to my private apartment to see the renovation. Of course, if you think about passive houses, one day I want to do my own house. I have no house, I only have an apartment. It is, you see, a normal apartment in the 60s, 1960s. From the architectural point of view, nothing exciting. But from the way of sustainability, we cannot destroy it, so we want to make the best out of it. And I try to convince all my neighbors, let's make all together a renovation on passive house would be the cheapest to insulate the building envelope. But one said, okay, I'm already 80, I'm not interested. So everyone has another motivation not to do it. And so I said, no, I cannot wait. So I have to do it. And I tried it. So you see, it says a very noisy street, there's a train, and in the sleeping room I had a heating system, in the living room a heating system. I bought it from my neighbor, and every room was heated with this. Here is a neighbor house, and when we go to the south side, here in the south side, it's a pitched roof already, and here you see it better. So north side is straight, south side is a slope, so all difficulties we can have. And the idea was just to make the windows bigger and some photovoltaic, and also here you see the remaining heating system. So I tried to close this. This was the given situation. Now from the point of view of construction physics, outside insulation is always cheaper, always better, always more safe. But I had no choice. I wanted to do it, and I will do it inside insulation. When you have outside insulation, the outer wall, here I live, here below my friend, my neighbor Günther lives, so we are both heating this non-insulated building structure. A lot of energy losses, but the structure is warm. As soon we make inside insulation, you see, the building structure gets cold. Because it's not heated, because here is insulation material, and the ceiling, the load-bearing ceiling, gets colder. Before there was no problem, but now here is a critical point, because here, now suddenly it appears it can be a risk of condensation. The Passive House Institute says, okay, then put some additional insulation here to protect this place for condensation, that the temperature is warm enough. But how to do in my apartment such triangle of insulation? So I decided, I just make the insulation such big that I cover this critical point, and at the same time I can put 25-30 centimeters and have it for the passive house level in climate conditions for Vienna. This was the approach. Please, don't do this like I did if this is not the concrete ceiling. If this is a wooden old house with a wooden floor, don't do inside insulation then, because the condensation can come in and the wood can rotten down. This is very, very dangerous. You cannot control, you cannot see. So, if it's wood, please don't copy my strategy. If it's concrete, you can try. Okay, of course, outside insulation always would be the best, because there is a homogeneous temperature, no stress for the building structure. Here you see the building. Here is the north side, south side, and my apartment is in the sandwich. Above is Alexandra, below is Günther, so it's warm, and I have the north and the south. You see, a very social approach. This is the plan. First I decided the warm building envelope, then the windows, the entrance door to the corridor, to the staircase, the south windows, the north windows, and here it's a little door to my other apartment. So this I wanted to make nice, my survival cell if one day we have no oil. So this is sleeping room, living room, bathroom. Here is the kitchen, and here is a little cabinet, a small room. And we wanted to make this a big room just to have a nice living kitchen. This was the motivation from my wife. My motivation was to make it passive. So, for making passive, you see, inside insulation. Everywhere inside insulation. Here to the neighbor house, the firewall, to the staircase. Here it's warm, here's my second apartment. It's warm, okay, I don't need. But here also inside insulation, and to cover this thermal bridge to the neighbor house. Because it's firewall, I have to do it also. And ventilation system. So I put it here in the kitchen, the air ventilation system, Konfor. You see, fresh air supply, short direct ways to the sleeping room, to the living room, and all the exhaust air from the bathroom and from the kitchen. Very, very simple, very direct. Okay, now let's come to the north side. Unfortunately it's reversed, but you see the U values for the window. It's a passive house with U value 0.8. We have inside insulation 25 centimeters with U value 0.13, and the flanking transmission is also covered with U value 0.28. So the building envelope from my side is here. Excellent. Let's see to the south side. There is a pitched roof and a knee wall. So in the pitched roof, I have U value 0.11 with 30 centimeters insulation. In the knee wall, 0.078 with 35 centimeter insulation, and a triple glazing roto atelier roof windows with 0.87. Okay, then the flanking transmission to the neighbor house and to the staircase. And of course, a passive house entrance door with 0.72. So when the people come and looked at it, I was not at home, my wife was at home, and the serviceman from the door said, "Oh, there must be a mistake. You don't need such a good door." Then my wife said, "No, as I know my husband, he loves his door." But the man said, "No, the staircase anyway is warm." Yes, why is the staircase warm? Because the doors are so bad and we heat it. So this is a passive house entrance door I use as an apartment entrance door. Only the best components. Now this was, I bought it from my neighbor. He was taller, so he was carpenter. And the heating system all was functionally nice, a little old-fashioned. But when you heat it, it was immediately very hot, very warm. You cannot go very close, so it was turbulences in the air. When you closed it, it was a perfect thermal bridge. It becomes cold immediately, and also very noisy. It was also a noise bridge. So this was in the living room, the same here in the sleeping room, also the heating system. Now, the work was very simple. Just I removed all the heating system. There was a hole. I covered this just with some glass wool panel, and I put inside a wooden frame completely for the triple glazing window. You will see immediately. I have to make this all airtight to seal it. So it was old electric light wires here. Yes, you see the electric wires I put out of the critical part, you see here, not later to penetrate the vapor barrier. So all electrical was put out. Later I have not to make a hole to go through with the electric pipes in the vapor barrier. Yes, you see the triple glazing window, and then it was just a steel frame, glass wool inside, Diffunum vario vapor barrier, glued, airtight glued, vapor tight glued to the walls all around and to the window frame. Perfectly done, airtight, no condensation, no risk. And what you see also, maybe you see here, you see I kept the old double glazing window outside. I did not change, nothing on the facade, but I put inside an additional triple glazing. So I have double glazing and triple glazing, which is a perfect airtight and a perfect acoustic mass, spring mass system. So because I showed you before, it is a very, very noisy street. Okay, we go here. Yes, so this wall was easy done, but then it remains this thermal bridge in this flanking building part. It was easy done, you see, just an additional insulation here, vapor barrier, gypsum board, and just differentiated with some colors. And now here I'm working, and here I prepared the presentation for you. I'm sitting here. The same in the sleeping room, you see the old double glazing plus the triple glazing, and now I sleep very, very quiet, no noise. Just like in a sound studio, I hear my own blood. No traffic noise, but I hear Alexandra much better, my neighbor. Hello. Yeah. So you see there is some space between those two windows. Here's the space. I put some glass wool inside, open porous, so excellent for acoustic absorption, and a wood plate with some holes. So I have perfect mass spring mass system, and the energy even goes here around in the frame. Here you see it. So mass spring mass, so extremely noise protecting from the outside. So I can sleep, wonderful, and always have fresh air with, yeah. Now, from construction physics, which might be interesting for you. So this is, you see, here I'm living, here is my friend Günther, and where it's warm, it's a dark color, so there is no energy. There's no energy flow, no heat flow. But whereas the colors, there's a lot of energy and heat flow. And before renovation, this yellow part is my energy consumption in this area, and the blue part is energy consumption of Günther in this area. It's not exactly a psi value, it's calculated on 1.5 meter, it is this area. But what we see very fine is if I made here the inside insulation, you see, no heat flow to the outside, here is no heat flow down, no critical part in this area, but Günther, you see, for him it's critical, and I reduced in this area dramatically my energy consumption, but Günther, he has to heat a little more because my poor friend, he has a loan now to heat the thermal bridge. Well, but sometimes he comes up, he drinks some wine with me, and anyway, I live now, and I heat also, so it's compared. Maybe one day he has the same idea and says, okay, Robert, I will also do insulation inside. What happens, you see? But still, here remains a little critical part, what I said. It's warm here, but this thermal bridge we could not avoid. But he also comes dramatically down with his energy consumption. Now maybe Günther will do nothing, but all the other people of the house say, okay, now we make outside the insulation. Then you see from construction physics already it's perfect. There's no risk of condensation, no risk of mold growth, whatever. And energy consumption very much down. This would be the most expensive solution. I do it, Günther do it, and 10 years later all the neighbors do it. okay, energy consumption is down. But conclusion, the cheapest and the best is just to do it outside. And energy consumption is down. So now we played all possibilities. It is a compromise to make inside insulation, but for me it was the only way to do it and not to wait 10, 15 years if the neighbors will follow me. So now let's go to the south side, how I did it. You see again a heating system here. We had to remove it. This was when my wife went to workplace in the morning, then we could start. And when she came home, look how happy she looks now. It starts to be nice. You can imagine her kitchen. And yes, we removed all here. And here you see, this is the wall to the bathroom. And we cut it out here, the wall, to avoid the thermal bridge. But I could not avoid in the ceiling. So later to have here the insulation inside, yes? That's why we cut it out. And later you see, in the pitched roof insulation, it goes completely through. And here you see already the absorbers, noise absorbers, for the ventilation pipes coming in. Yeah, a hopeful moment. We were in the middle of our project. Still we are encouraged. We had to remove also a part of this old wooden floor with some ashes and so on. So it was a very dusty work, but we want 10 centimeters for the floor. So we had to make a gravel and to put impact sound insulation on glass wool, very elastic, good for the low frequencies. Of course, the mixing machine we carried up in the fourth floor, 1.5 ton of cement in my apartment. Yes, we were mixing here in the corridor, and in the kitchen we made this nice floating floor. One detail, we did not go with the floating floor completely out. You see, we kept here a space that we can go with the insulation down to the load-bearing ceiling, so to avoid this additional thermal bridge here. And the vapor barrier is glued to the load-bearing ceiling, goes up then to the floating floor, is glued here, and here it goes up, the vapor barrier, different value, and it's protected by gypsum board. So we cannot later harm it or damage it. And here you have the installation area with the pipes, water pipes, electricity, another insulation with glass wool, 5 centimeters, and gypsum board. So just here you see we made a nice spachtel or renderings that it's very, very flat, and it's glued on the load bearing and glued also on the floating floor. Electricity is already inside, not to penetrate against the vapor barrier. Yeah, so would have been done normally, and we did it like this to avoid stronger thermal bridge effect. Here you see the thermal bridge effect, and here you see without this thermal bridge effect. To work very precisely and nicely in the details. And it was not a pitched roof, a wood construction. It would be easier, then it would make a bigger window to have from the south more solar gains. It turned out it's concrete steel. So I said it's very difficult. And I had to think about the construction without thermal bridges. So you see, some steel, we put some plastic to interrupt. Here's the thermal transmission, and with this construction, just some few points reduced on thermal bridges. And we fixed it to the ceiling with some rubber plates to have it acoustically very soft, to have all the good sound or the noise control, noise protection. And yeah, even here in the rails, in the frames, we put some glass wool, and you see few points, a very nice construction without thermal bridges. Yeah, electricity pipes already out, and then the vapor barrier glued and additionally fixed with some gypsum boards. Yeah, so the sacking, you see the concrete goes here, makes a step, goes up. So here lives Alexandra. And when we have this inside insulation and outside insulation, here always is a thermal bridge. So I had to cover it here. What I did, I made a little present to Alexandra. I made outside wall insulation for her here and put insulation material here inside. Yeah. So made some steps, opened here, one jumped in, and then we put all the insulation in this area to have no thermal bridges. Yeah, here you see. Okay. You see the drawing. As I said, whenever you have outside insulation, inside insulation in combination, there is a thermal bridge. You see it here. So we put here a suspended ceiling, airtight, just to avoid this thermal bridge here. Yeah. Blower door test. So these are already the pipes for the ventilation system. We closed it, and it turned out no problem with electricity, but here where the old wall was and the rendering system was damaged, there was some circulation. It was not tight. The solution was very simple, just with some gypsum spachtel or rendering. We closed it with elastic metal clips. We made the frame for the suspended ceiling with glass wool, put it airtight again, and had perfect noise protection around. And we reduced the storage mass. So we reduced the mass. In summer, when it's hot, I have outside shading, and in the night I only have to ventilate out the warm air. But the warm air is not stored because I have inside insulation. So I've not this hot air in the concrete structure. Only the warm air to ventilate out, and it's very, very convenient. Here, in the critical point where we have a geometrical thermal bridge, we put in some sensors with funk, with radiation. So it's humidity and temperature I can measure with an accu for 2 years, and then I see what might happen in this critical point. The same I have in the bathroom. So as I said, it's a very heavy concrete structure. Around the window we had to remove this concrete to win some space to have no thermal bridges when we put the windows in. So this was the flower day, because after this noisy work I went to the neighbors, some flowers, some bottle of wine, excuse, but all went well. And here you see we need a lot of space to put the insulation material without thermal bridges in. And here you see how it's done. So 30 centimeters insulation, here is some foam, it's completely insulated without thermal bridges. Okay? This was the second flower day because we had to make this opening for the ventilation system to go through. Again, vibrating, noising, still to the train station. But you see, fresh air coming in, exhaust air going out. It's filtered with a fine filter, F7, no mosquitoes, no fine dust. It's perfect. I'm not allergic, but if I would be allergic, I would have always best air. So you see the sound absorbers, not to have the sound from outside or from one room to the others, to have it wide. All is covered, and also with glass wool. It's very nice. Here we made the hole to the sleeping room, and this is passive house entrance door. You see, simple elements just put together. I did not calculate before, I calculated later, and it turned out it's a passive house. I did what I could do. So from this point of view, renovation is simple. What I can do, I do. And then it turns out, but I tried to do all the best. And the blower test was 0.57. So 0.60 is a success. So it was a great success because it's a small volume, 77 square meters only. So if you have a little leakage in a small volume, the exchange rate is much higher. Now, here you see the exterior walls U-well, 2.7 for the roof, 1.1, 1.1 for the knee wall, 2 for the windows, and so on. After renovation, 0.1, 0.1, and before 126 kilowatt hours per square meter. After renovation on passive house level, 13.9. Even it's inside-outside insulation with the thermal bridges. So it's an excellent, excellent result. So far it was very cheap, because after 50 years anyway, I had to renovate the windows, to change electricity, to change the pipes and all. So anyway, I had to do it. But now, to come away from the gas, to change to the heat pump, these units are still, in my opinion, too expensive. But okay, what shall I do? I started. Here you have the air-air heat exchanger, the heat pump, and here 180 liter warm water. I choose this unit because it's the smallest. We are 2 people, we don't need more. Here you see the installation, the pipe, I did all myself, absorbing material, and all is covered. No noise, it's perfect. Now the living experiences. In winter, when it was outside, -5 to -10 degree, inside 21.4 degree. It's perfect. In summer, with outside shading, the ventilation system makes first warm water, it cools down and dries, and then the air goes in. So when it has outside 30-32 degrees, inside I had 24 to 25 degrees. It was very nice, and I never had this before, and I don't have in my office. But here I have it. So it looks now today, so we can enjoy. This was the bathroom before, typical in 1950, so you can imagine Sophia Loren jumping out. No. She can come today, so it's always for elderly people, very nice. For me, of course, not for her. And I told you it's a very noisy area, so this is an A-weighted equivalent sound pressure level. And it's 65 to 74, very noisy road in this map. And afterwards I wanted to know, so we made measurements. The outside noise and inside, but we had to use very sensitive microphones going down to -10 decibel. We had a TGM with a special institute in Vienna. And what turned out? Outside noise. During day, orange is evening, and night 63 decibel. Before renovation 25 decibel. After renovation 16 decibel in the night, A-weighted. It would go down to 0 decibel because there is no noise from outside. But the 16 decibel comes from the ventilation system, the background noise. But 16 decibel, you sleep like a baby. You don't sleep. Okay. Before I had 77 square meter. After renovation, maybe 70. So I reduced my heating volume. I save again some energy. And built in 15 cubic meters of insulation material. But I have a Konfor which I never enjoyed before. And whatever will be in the future with heating costs, whatever, I'm inert. I'm out of the discussion. So I have some flowers for you. Thank you very much. When you are in Vienna, please come. Seriously, please come, because we had already 2 buses in front. The neighbors are calling my wife. My wife is used to it. It's not a problem. You can come, you can see, you can feel. You cannot sleep all at once at night to feel it, but just to see how the atmosphere and the air quality is. Thank you very much.